Hi there. Welcome to ProductiviTree. I'm Santi Tacoronte, and I'm here to help you succeed and be happier. In each episode, we'll explore new ways to work smarter, manage your time better, and grow as a person. We'll share fresh ideas, find ways to improve, and help you become your best self at work, in life. Join me as we learn and grow together on ProductiviTree. Charley Johnson is one of the world's first Chief Consciousness Officers, blending over 20 years in corporate leadership, 7 years as the president of Paid Forward Foundation, and a decade studying with an enlightened teacher. Instead of leaving the world behind, Charley returned with a mission to help organizations see beyond conditioning, division, and noise. Through his pioneering role, Charley works with CEOs and teams to stay human in an AI-driven world, bringing clarity, neutrality, and deep insight into company culture and leadership. His consciousness training transforms how people lead, connect, and solve problems, whether it's boosting executive awareness or helping teams navigate complexity with clarity. Charley is here to help business evolve without losing its soul. Charley Johnson, welcome to ProductiviTree.
Thank you for having me, man.
Charley, can you explain us what is a Chief Consciousness Officer and why should we take it seriously?
30 years ago, technology took over business. Everyone knew, every intelligent human being within the organization, especially the C-suite, knew what was happening. They knew online was going to be a big deal. They knew technology was growing and expanding at a rapid rate. Not a single one within that C-suite understood how to code, how to upload a website, or to do anything with a URL, right? So they looked to the corner and they said, you know, those weird dudes over there, let's hire them, right? A chief technology officer. Technology became the center focus of humanity. With everything going on right now, like we spoke about before this interview, technology has advanced incredibly fast. AI is going to 100, if not 1,000x that. The center focus of humanity is going to be consciousness. It already has been. Everything's consciousness. AI came from consciousness. You came from consciousness. My mind, my thoughts, everything on this planet, in this universe came from consciousness. So as we, in a sense, lose our humanity, in a sense, lose control of our ability to be human because we are more reliant on AI, we're going to want to come back to consciousness, not the mind. The mind's just the middleman. We're going to want to come back to the source where everything was birthed. It's consciousness. Now, when people hear that, they're going to want to better understand it. They're going to want people around them who know it. Just like a chief technology officer, the CCO is going to be a very crucial, very important, immediate hire. It's going to happen very soon, and every company's going to want one. It's going to be they're going to wonder how the hell they dealt without it.
What's the moment you realized corporate leadership lacked something deeper and decided to become a CCO?
The CCO is only a couple 3 months old. There was a lady that I've crossed paths with, just out of respect. She did try to do this about 10 to 15 years ago, but she was a marketer. So she did it with her friend's company, and she was thinking of bringing consciousness, understanding the client, and marketing from a marketing perspective. This came about as an all-encompassing secret weapon for the C-suite, for the VPs, for the customer service, for everyone within the organization. And this came about because of my business history, my business past, my nonprofit past, and then my many years with a very enlightened teacher. I started to realize that the spiritual path, which consciousness is not spiritual, it's tactical. This is not a spiritual thing. This is not a wellness program. This is not getting everyone to meditate in mindfulness, because we've tried that. It's not working. I realized that starting to understand consciousness, understanding where a lot of people were breaking away from capitalism, they were breaking away from the company, it was just heads the tails of the coin. So they were business on the heads. It didn't give them what they wanted. It didn't fulfill their purpose in their heart, right? So they went to the extreme of spirituality. They meditated. They went off into a 10-day silent retreat, ayahuasca, whatever. It was just the tails to the coin. So I saw separation there as well. Most people who cross paths with a teacher like mine go really aggressive down that path and leave the world behind, right? That does not do anyone any good. If the system we believe is crumbling and falling apart and we're just going to go leave it, that doesn't work for me. So I wanted to bridge that gap. And the CCO came about maybe 3-4 months ago, talking to a friend. It was just funneled through me. It really kicked open a lot of doors. We've done 60 of these podcasts in just the past month. So it's really getting into the collective consciousness of 8 billion people. That's where it came from.
Is AI evolving faster than human consciousness? Are we getting outmatched?
That's a very unique, dualistic question, because everything is consciousness. So consciousness and conscious are very misunderstood. You and I are conscious right now. We get hit in the head, we're unconscious. People will relate that to consciousness. No. Consciousness is a noun. Everything physical. You, me, the wall, the chair, the body, the planet, the earth, the galaxy, the universe. Everything is consciousness, physical and non-physical. Conscious is a verb to me. I see, I hear, I touch, I smell. I am looking at you. I'm aware of you. I'm talking to you, right? Artificial intelligence is a construct. We gave it the word artificial to make ourselves feel better. It came from consciousness. It came from us. There's nothing artificial about it, right? But that's the way we've built this. And just like everything with humanity, there's going to be pros and cons. There's going to be people for it. There's going to be people against it. There's going to be Republicans. There's going to be Democrats. There's going to be Catholics. There's going to be atheists, right? It's advancing quicker than our minds understand, that we as a human can understand, because we don't have the capacity to know everything by just typing something in. That's what we fear. We fear the unknown. Is it advancing quicker than us? Mentally, consciously, or consciousness? No, because we created it. It's the greatest technology in the world. We are the greatest technology in the world. We have access to consciousness. If more people start to understand what consciousness really is, and that we are it, and that knowledge is structured in consciousness, we have access to that same knowledge that we're typing into a computer. We just need to change our mind frame. And what it reminds me of is there's a movie called Arrivals with Amy Adams. And it's about a bunch of another civilization that comes to Earth to kind of help us out. She asks where they're from. And they said some star system a million light years away. She says, "Are you artificial intelligence? Because you're a million light years away." All they said was, as soon as you let go of the construct of time and space, you can be anywhere you want. What I'm saying is, once we break down the constructs of what consciousness is, of what artificial intelligence is, of what our limits and our potential is, it changes everything. Because you got to go into physics, quantum entanglement. What they do to one piece of DNA 1,000 miles away is immediate, what they do with it, right? Our linear time, our construct of time, our construct of space, our construct of how limited our perception is based off of fear. It's based off of scarcity. So when something like artificial intelligence comes about, it's almost immediate. We're going to fear it because we don't know it. But it's us. It's our intelligence. We created it.
You've said that AI is taking over our minds. Can we stop it?
No. But I'm not saying that in a way that's a bad thing, right? It's, again, like everything on this planet, everything with the human experience, there are ups and downs, goods and bad, pros and cons. We've already been using AI, right? We get our toothpaste the same day because of Amazon. We've been using Siri within our Apple iPhone for many, many years. AI's been around for quite some time. But all of a sudden now it's been broken out into the public, and it's something that we can access. It's more marketable. It's something people can use on a day-to-day basis to do normal human functions. So it's scaring the hell out of us. Can we stop it? No. there's too many people that are going to utilize it for what they think is good for them and what they think is going to make a profit. And it's like saying, can we stop Catholicism? Can we stop politics? Can we stop evolution? Can we stop going a 12-year-old from turning 13? No. And this position of Chief Consciousness Officer doesn't have a dog in the fight. It's as neutral as it gets. So when I'm speaking and people are listening to me, it's natural for a human to try to figure out if I'm for it or against it. I'm neither. I just know that once something is let out of the bottle like this, I don't think we're going to be able to stop it.
Do you think that AI will replace entire departments and swipe out most of known jobs, or what's going to happen?
I think part of that is the case. I have a unique background with my teacher, meaning that I've had access to some very, very powerful individuals. Meaning this is going to sound unique for a podcast like this, but I have access to people who channel other dimensions, other civilizations that are further along than us. And I'm sure I just lost most of your audience right there just by saying that. But listen to how I'm talking about this. I'm talking about this very simply. I'm not looking over my shoulder and wondering if people believe it or not. I'm not talking about this like it's magical. I'm talking about this like the movie Arrivals. Once we let go of the construct of what we think is possible, once we let go of the construct of us actually thinking we're alone, that we're the highest evolution in this universe, this ever-expanding universe, it changes everything. When I listen to them talk about the future, when I listen to them talk about AI and our fears, business, everything that is rational and logical to humans in this existence, they say that things unfold in a way we can't imagine and that we're going to be okay. AI will take an incredible amount of jobs, and if I'm one of those people that's taken my jobs, I'd be scared shitless too. I'm not downplaying that. But they say that we have such a limited perception of what we think we're capable of and how we see the world and how we see jobs and how we see commerce, that something new is going to come from this that's going to be good for all of us, for humanity. And once we get over that existential crisis, that fear of losing something, which I've gone through as well, we will be just fine.
Do you think there will be revolution due to these job losses, and people will stand up against AI, and we will see even violence in the streets against robots and AI and machines taking over us?
Well, let's think about where that narrative came from. That narrative came from the movies we saw, the sci-fi movies that Hollywood and other movie studios put out. The same movie studios that put out a narrative of sci-fi of what aliens and other civilizations are going to do, right? We don't realize how much conditioning we have, because where do these thoughts come from? We are born neutral. We are born without the ability to talk. I'm in Utah. This is a very religious Mormon state. If someone who's born in Utah most likely is going to be Mormon, right? If an individual was born to a Utah family and from day one adopted by a Japanese family, they'd be Buddhist, right? What I'm bringing this example up for is our bias and our conditioning and what we think of the world and what we think is good and bad is based off of our family, our teachers, where we were born, how we were born, what we're around, and what we learn. If you change that, we have different thoughts, different beliefs, different ideals, et cetera, et cetera. So when you say, is there going to be revolution? I would assume so, because every movie that talks about AI, like the Will Smith robot or The Creator with Denzel Washington's kid, it doesn't look good. It looks like there's a war of humanity against AI. It looks like robots take over. It looks like artificial intelligence takes over, right? We are, as humans, really good at seeing something and, in a sense, making that a reality because that's all we think about. I hope that's not the case. I assume, just like everything else, there's going to be some of that, and then there's going to be some kindness. There's going to be some things that we figure out and downplay and figure out a way to get past that. Just like everything with being human, there's going to be a little bit of that. There's going to be a little bit of this.
I was coming from the point of um, people not having the means to leave because they have lost their
Mhm.
job, French Revolution kind of things where money is concentrating on technology companies really quickly. If you think about the future of our jobs, the money makers are the tech companies that are building the AI and the robots and these kind of things, because the normal job or the service job, they will likely disappear. I was going more towards, will humans be cornered on a space where they say, you know what, I have nothing to eat now because I've lost my job. Uh, and since I have nothing to lose, I'm going to do what I need to do to feed my family.
I I hope not. I'm not going to sit here and act like I have a clue of which way this is going to unfold, because I think we're creating a whole new world. I mean, legitimately, like if like we spoke, if you don't understand history, you're bound to repeat it. There's nothing to repeat here. This is brand new. I hope not. I really hope not, because my God, I've experienced some things in my life. I've experienced some depression, some despair, some being backed into a corner where you don't think there's any possible way out of it. And I would assume that my despair is nothing like what someone would feel if they truly had nowhere to go, no money to make, no job, and had a family to feed. I would never wish that upon my worst enemy. It is such a shitty feeling. Like, it's a feeling you can't even describe. If there's a feeling like that amongst tens of hundreds of millions, billions of people, God, I hope not.
Charlie, do we really need a chief consciousness officer or just better leaders that know how to think and are, more close to humanity?
Excuse me. I think it's absolutely crucial because of consciousness, because the way we've gone about the world, which is more divided and conflicted than ever, is here. The same mind that creates a problem can't solve it. This tool, once we better understand how divided it is, once we know that this tool is an either or scenario, is a Catholic or an atheist, is a Republican or Democrat, is a pro or against AI, constant division. Since the beginning of humanity, we truly believe one side's going to win, the other side's going to lose, and we're going to move off into a utopic future. That's all we've done. I think this position is more crucial than ever, because the source is not the mind. The source is consciousness. Consciousness birthed AI. Consciousness birthed the Catholic and the atheist. Consciousness birthed all of the division in the world. Once we come back to here, we go from here and we expand our awareness. And from what I've seen from direct experience, once we expand our awareness, we find better solutions. We're better problem solvers, better ways forward. We figure out ways to work with what we've been given. We're probably going to find a way to better work with AI, to be more neutral, to find a better way forward. I think this position is more crucial than ever because everything is consciousness and we've not tapped into it. It's kind of like the example of the fish in water. Wise fish swimming through the ocean. Hey, boys, how's the water? And the two young fish look at each other and say, what's water? You and I are swimming in it right now. Your listeners are swimming in it. AI is swimming in it. Everything on this planet is swimming in consciousness. And we're sitting here dicking around with the middleman. We got to get to the source. We got to tap into that water. We got to tap into that consciousness, because everything we need for a better future, how to deal with AI, how to deal with a job loss, how to deal with everything with a very limited perception, that's going to cause a lot of fear. We can expand our awareness. We can tap into the source. We have better solutions. We have better knowledge. That will be crucial moving forward. And this position is going to help everyone at every level of the company and every level of the organization, every level of humanity understand that.
You say this role could bridge political divides. Can you give us one concrete example of how a CCO could help on a recent cultural or a common workplace conflict?
So the conditioning of a human is natural. If you're a Republican, you're right. If you're Democratic, you're left. They speak of being neutral, but I'm sure, like everyone else I've asked, do you know anyone who's neutral? No. They talk neutral, but they're not. This position is a legit unbiased, unconditioned, neutral individual. So a Republican talks about being bipartisan. A Democrat talks about being bipartisan. They talk about bridging the gap. They talk about bridging the divide, jumping over the aisle. Has it ever happened? No. Have they ever had a CCO on staff? No. Have they ever had anyone within their organization who's neutral? No. They've always gone after their constituents, being rehired. As we expand our awareness, they're going to need to try something new. This position on staff, asking different questions, having a expanded awareness, having a large enough consciousness that brings everyone in the room up and brings their walls down, lets them see things differently, ask different questions, brings different solutions. That, to me, is the next logical step. When that happens, again, you'll take that senator, that congressman, that someone in the cabinet, that president, however you want to look at it, you're going to take their awareness and you're going to expand it. Every time I've seen an individual expand their awareness, something incredibly good comes from that. Having that individual on staff, bringing a different perspective, is bound to shift everything. That's going to be the first time we are bipartisan. That is going to be the first time that we can jump the aisle and help each other out.
Charlie, it's almost, I was thinking about center parties, right? We have left wing, right wing, and before we used to have, at least in Europe, many center parties that were a bit of the common sense, right? The virtue is in the middle. Is this what you're vouching for?
No, because those center parties were still fighting the left and the right. They were still going up against something. This position is like a Google of consciousness. It's like a ChatGPT of consciousness. It is legitimately not for or against anything. It's not asking anyone to be center so they can get rid of the left and the right. It's just neutral, bringing the best solutions forward, bringing a different perspective forward, because in a world of division and conflict, a world that's never been more polarized and that gap is spreading, there are individuals in the middle that no one pays attention to. People still paid, when it comes to politics, people still paid attention to the center parties. I can't remember what they're called over here in the U.S., but there's always that one that gets that 1%, right, and kind of sways the election. They're still going against the left and the right. They're still going against Republicans and Democrats. They're still trying to win. The chief consciousness officer's not trying to win anything. They're legitimately just hanging back, being neutral, asking different questions, saying, what do you think about this? Just taking everyone within both sides and the center and expanding their awareness.
How can companies tell if they are unconscious? Are there red flags that leaders should be looking for?
Well, we have a lot of consultants and coaches nowadays doing conscious capitalism, conscious leadership, right? Again, that to me is different. What a chief consciousness officer does is it sets the standard. It opens the individual up so that conscious leadership and conscious capitalism can be better absorbed, right? So when you talk about conscious capitalism or conscious leadership, an organization being more conscious, it reminds me of the story of the student who's ready to learn. So let's say a company's ready to learn conscious leadership, to be more conscious. The student sits down with the teacher and says, I'm ready. The teacher starts to pour a cup of tea. It starts to overflow the sides. The student looks at the teacher and says, cup's full. You can stop. Teacher says, correct. Your cup's like this mine. How do you expect me to teach you anything new with your mind as full as this cup? So all of these business consultants and teachers are very smart. What they're doing with conscious leadership and helping people lead from the heart and being more aware is correct. But they're pouring all of that expertise and knowledge into an already full mind. The cup's full. What a chief consciousness officer does by allowing everyone within the organization to understand they have access to consciousness, they are consciousness, they can go to the source past the mind, it expands the cup. It expands the box of the mind so that when conscious leadership is brought into the organization, their chances of not wasting it, of absorbing it, and most importantly, implement it, skyrocket. So this is a whole different level. The chief consciousness officer, the unique individuals that are neutral and doing exactly what I'm talking about, this is a whole different level. This is not a wellness program. This is not conscious leadership. This is not a consultation. This is not a coaching. This is a position that once conscious leadership is brought in for a 4-week program for the companies, they will help it expand and grow for 365 days a year. This is a full-time position that an organization has never had. Do you see the difference? Just the subtle little difference when it comes to this. It's an all-encompassing individual and position for everyone in the company to utilize. It becomes a secret weapon for the C-suite, a secret weapon for customer service, a secret weapon for operations, because it takes everyone from here to here. And then when those coaches and those consultants come in, they got a bigger cup. They're ready to learn. They've got space to absorb. They've got space to implement. That is a massive, massive shift, because for the past 15, 20 years, organizations have already been doing this. We've never been more divided and conflicted. We're missing something.
Beyond hiring a CCO, what's the first step a CEO should take to elevate their company consciousness?
Learn about it. Google it. Truly, the first step, if you're watching this and you want to better understand consciousness and the subtle differences between what we've been discussing, Google it. Understand what consciousness is, like the fish in water. Understand that consciousness is fundamental to our experience and to our reality. Understand what it really is, that we have access to it, that we are it, that every piece of knowledge you've ever learned came from consciousness. Every time you've looked outward to an expert, to a book, to a lecture, to a video, to whatever, all of that knowledge they claim they have as an expert came from consciousness. You are consciousness. You have access to that same knowledge. Point your awareness to what you want. You can tap into it. It can be more internal. It can be more pure, because it's your knowledge that you're pulling from your awareness, not someone else's opinion in a book that sold 1 million copies. Because let me remind people, we've never had more books on happiness, ever. And we've never been so unhappy. We've never spent more money on health. We've never been so unhealthy. You see the external thing? We have access. We have access. That's what this position does. We allow the customer service agent, the middle manager, or the VP, the C-suite, the CEO, to access everything they need without having to go to a third party, without having to go somewhere else to someone else's opinion that may not work for them. What works for 8 different billion people is what works for 8 different billion people. There's 8 billion people going up the same mountain. It's all a different path. We're continuously comparing. We're continuously reading, again, another 1 million copies book, thinking that's how they did it, that's how we should do it. No. You are different than me and all the viewers watching this. We have access to our own path. We have access to our own knowledge. We have access to our own authenticity. And when it comes to AI and the Chief Consciousness Officer, you know what's going to be the most important thing moving forward? What the highest frequency on this planet is? Authenticity. That's what we need.
What are the top results you've seen in teams after doing consciousness training?
The awareness, the expansion of awareness. NASA did a study where they followed a few thousand kids. At the ages of 4 and 5, 98% were considered genius. By the time those kids were adults, it was less than 2%. So we think knowledge is power, which it is. But the way we've learned with our society, our education system, our family, our parents, our friends, our teachers, we take this vast resource and then we say, this is right, this is wrong. I'm Catholic, not atheist. I'm Republican, not Democrat. I'm in the center. I'm this, I'm that. We've boxed off our mind. The reason why we're so stressed out, overwhelmed, and burnt out is because this tiny little box that we have purposely and unknowingly crammed our little minds into, it creates a lot of stress. It's full, it's overwhelmed, it's got 80,000 thoughts a day. When you bring in a Chief Consciousness Officer and you expand awareness, you're basically giving your mind a release valve. You're releasing the pressure. You're giving it space. You're giving it something to absorb, something different, something new, something that's going to help you. When you expand awareness, you're expanding. You're not restricted. You're opening up, right? Stress is restricted. Burnout is restrictive. Fear is restrictive, right? And I'm not talking about this from a spiritual tree-hugging hippie perspective. I'm just talking about how the mind works. When you expand awareness, you're basically giving your being, your soul, your mind, your individual, your nervous system a release valve. When this position comes in, whether it's on an individual level or a corporate level or the whole company level, you're basically giving the whole company a release valve. You're expanding them into different solutions, into different problem solving, into different ways to move forward, better strategy, how to treat their employees. Burnout reduces, retention rates skyrocket. The ability to hire through HR and find different people, better people, is better. It opens up creativity for the CMO, the marketing. Like there isn't anything the organization doesn't benefit from this position and expanding awareness.
Charlie, give us some tools. How can employees, normal people like me and you, bring clarity and consciousness to their work without sounding like, you know, all the mindfulness, um, you know, noise? No, I'm not gonna noise, but yeah, things that have been going around that makes you sound like a, yoga instructor in a finance meeting or something like that.
Well, just by listening to this conversation, it changes everything. It's kind of like the 4-minute mile. Impossible. Someone ran it, everyone could run it, right? Having them, a normal employee, normal guy like you and I, normal woman like whoever's listening, consciousness is everything. It is not spiritual. It is not Buddhist. It is not against your beliefs. It is not against your religion. It's everything. It's who you are fundamentally, physically, existentially, mentally, everything. So if you're religious, consciousness is there. If you're Catholic, consciousness is there. If you're atheist, consciousness is there. If you're completely against Buddhism and think meditation is the worst thing in the world, consciousness is there. Consciousness is neutral. So for the common man and woman, that's why this position is so crucial. That's why I appreciate you having this conversation with me, because everyone thought consciousness was the spiritual thing for the few people that are going up to the top of the mountain, enlightenment. Bullshit. Everything is consciousness, and that top of the mountain spirituality is just another construct. It's the heads to the tails of the religion. It's just another religion. It's just as structured. It's just as dogmatic. No. My question always is, heads or tails of the coin, which is better? Everyone says they're the same. Exactly. So for the common man and woman, look into consciousness. Just like when you asked 5 minutes ago about the CEO, look into consciousness. Google it. Better understand. If you're a customer service agent just simply wanting to pay your mortgage easier, consciousness will help. You're a mid-level manager looking to be VP, consciousness will help. You want to be better with your spouse, consciousness will help. Anything you could possibly think of, anything you want to get better at as a human, self-development, whatever, this is very restricted. This is divided. This is what causes the issues. Expand awareness. Look into consciousness just on your own level. It will not change your beliefs. It will not change your religion. It doesn't go against your belief. Nothing. Just understand consciousness. That's our entire existence. You have access to everything you've ever wanted. Look into it. That's all.
How do you answer to CEOs and people that tell that you're a hippie, just trying to bring another, hippie trend here? How do you make this tangible, Charlie?
Well, listen to our conversation. I've continuously say it's not spiritual. I'm going against wellness programs that didn't work, because for 20 years we have put meditation and mindfulness within an organization. We've never been more divided and conflicted. You can feel my passion. You can feel my aggression. You can feel me talk about wellness programs. Not once did I tell anyone in this conversation or within the company to meditate or be mindfulness. We've done that, and we should continue to do that. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But you have to remember, here in the West, we have a lot of atheists, a lot of Catholics, and a lot of Baptists. As soon as they were told to meditate, they thought it was Buddhist, and they were immediately turned off. This position knows that. This position helps you not waste another 20 years forcing people to do something they don't want to do. This position brings awareness to both sides of the coin. And to think I'm a tree-hugging hippie, does it look like I'm a tree-hugging hippie? Do I have any mala beads around me? Do I have any tattoos around me that says meditate? No. I understand business. I have 20 years in business, and I have 10 years with a teacher who most people leave their families for. I understand both sides of the coin, and I'm still here with this passion, trying to help the vast majority of the world understand the power they have. And I'm not telling them to meditate. And I'm not telling them to leave their families. And I'm not telling them to leave business. And I'm not telling them capitalism sucks and it needs to be taken down. I'm telling them to stop thinking the heads is better than the tails of the coin. It's both. My words, my packaging, my experience, the way I talk about it. If people really think this is a tree-hugging hippie that's trying to make them meditate, that's on them.
Charlie, let's do rapid fire questions.
Okay.
5 questions under 30 seconds each. Number 1, what is the biggest lie corporate culture tells employees?
That they don't have access to consciousness, that they're limited, that they need to stay where they're at.
Is AI making us lazier or forcing us to evolve?
Both.
Can you elaborate, please?
Elaborate? Both. It's helping us. It's helping us in a certain way. It's making us lazier, right? But it's also forcing us to evolve because it's taking certain things away that we thought we needed. We have a better way to evolve. There's better ways to be human.
Number 3, one word that should be banned from the boardroom.
I don't know because there's shit. You can't.
Like that. Number 4, most misunderstood trait of great leaders today.
Misunderstood trait. Their level of intelligence. A great teacher said when a pickpocket sees a saint, all he sees are his pockets. Sometimes a leader just sees things differently, and sometimes it just can't be understood by the employees. One's not right, one's not wrong.
Number 5, what's one mental habit that instantly raises consciousness?
Thinking about consciousness. That's it. Your intention.
Charlie, if someone listening feels like they want to start in the consciousness journey, they want to wake up, they want to stop thinking heads or tails, what they should start doing today? And is there any reading, any book that you recommend to delve deeper into this, demystify the concept of consciousness being religion or cults? Where do they start?
They can cross my path and ask me questions on LinkedIn. Other than that, understand that any book you will read on this path for corporate, for spirituality, for anything in your existence is someone else's opinion. It's one side of the coin. So if you read one book, read the other side of the coin and come to your own understanding that both come from the same source.
Charlie, I want to thank you for a supercharged session. The passion, it's addictive, the passion that you're putting into this. The concepts of themselves of expanding and not needing to be somehow locked into one side or the other is extremely appealing. And you have a follower here. I'm going to be following and reading you because you definitely have inspired my curiosity. Thank you so much, Charlie.
Thank you for having me on, man.
Thanks for listening to ProductiviTree. I hope you found something useful in today's episode. If you did, and it helps improve your life even a tiny bit, that'll make me really happy. Remember, you can find ProductiviTree on all major podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. If you enjoyed the show, why not share it with a friend who might also find it helpful? Until next time, and keep growing and stay productive.